And we are live. Good evening, ladies. Good evening.
Good
Happy
evening.
Monday.
Yes, happy Monday.
And to all of our
It's
viewers, happy
Monday.
Monday. Thank you for joining us for the Woman to Woman show tonight. As always, we are here excited, ready to dive into this conversation. But before we do so, we are going to do as we normally do, which is introduce ourselves and say what we are grateful for. So I will start by saying my name is Theodora. I am a career coach, a HR consultant, the founder and CEO of T. Carter Coaching and Consulting, providing services to women over 40 as they look to transition in life and in their career, and providing fractional HR support to small businesses that are not in need of an entire HR department, but just someone to help them out. And so I am grateful for today, and I am grateful and excited to have made it to the half point of the year. It is June 30th. The year is going quickly, but we're still here. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for 6 months and thankful for all that God has done, good and maybe not so good, from January to this point. I'm grateful. And I will give it over to Regina.
Hi. Hello, everyone. I am Regina Booker, the owner of Season and Fabulous, and I am where women 50 plus to get them knowing that they have more to offer when they're to get them unstuck if they are stuck, and to continue their passions, desires, careers. You know, when we get to that stage, we kind of like a fork in the road. What do we do next? And there's more to life. And it was interesting. I can't, the lady, what's her name? That played on the Jeffersons, moving on up.
Marla
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 Gibbs.
Gibbs.
Gibbs. Marla Gibbs. And she turned 92 and she said, it's never too late. I was like, oh my
Mm,
God. Is, you know, I was like, wow. And she's accomplished a lot, but she still said at 92, she still has more to do. And that just
yeah.
encouraged me so much. I heard her say, well, I didn't hear, it was like really on Facebook or something. And
Hmm.
that was one of the words that she said. And it's never too late. And I just really, that just blessed my little heart. But I am grateful and blessed too that finally this book has come to, I have put in my order and it should be arriving July 8th. Everything is uploaded and everything. So everyone who's pre-ordered should be getting theirs after July 8th. It was hard work. Not a hard work. After, I mean, the book it was easy itself, but it was just for whatever reason, I don't know. It just was a process to get it out
Mm,
there. But it's finally out there and it's uploaded and everything. So I am grateful for that. That happened over the weekend or the latter part of last week sometime.
nice.
Oh,
Congratulations.
yeah.
Looking forward to getting my copy.
Yes, you will get, and it will be an autograph signed copy.
Okay, I need the
Congratulations.
Oh,
autograph.
all right. Get the
Yes, I will.
autograph. Shh,
Yes,
all
I'm going to
Will
sooty
you
autograph
now.
will
all
you
the ones.
post a link in tonight so that people can
Yes,
be able
I
to?
will.
Yes, thank you.
Mm.
So that's what I'm
Oh,
grateful for.
Yep.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. I was like, thank you, Jesus. This was a long process.
I'm telling you, when you get that first copy, and when you get those, you're like, wow. Like
Well,
every.
I actually did get the copy. I got the author's copy the other day.
Oh, okay.
I
So
did
yeah,
get that.
it's like, wow,
Hmm.
I did it.
Hmm.
hmm
All right. Who you tossing a mic to?
It's legitimate now.
Hmm. I guess Gina.
oh, okay. Hey, y'all.
Okay.
Uh, First I'll start out with what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Just want to make sure. Mic check, mic check.
Uh,
Okay. I am grateful for
Mm-hmm.
having this space where we can share and empower each other. Um, I'm glad that I'm here and I am excited for tonight. But I'm also thinking about what's ahead the next 6 months of this calendar year. So
Mhm.
this is like a really great jump off point to really say where am I going. So I'm grateful for this conversation. And who am I? I am a woman that's really interested in empowering youth and families and creating their visions and making it plain, especially for our little bits. You know, Regina talks about the older group, and I like to work with the younger ones, kind of helping them see that they have some special source that they can work through and find out what they are, what their gifts are, and how to be amazing in this world, and not let anyone take that from them. Um,
Nice.
yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there. Also, I cook a little food.
Just a little something, something.
It's a little something. Yes.
Sheila, are
A
you
little
muted?
food.
We
Okay.
can't hear you.
My name is Sheila Isom. I am an insurance professional. I am. Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Yes.
Mm,
Yes.
Huh.
we can hear you. Or
Let
we
me just
could.
make sure that I am. You can hear me. Mic
Yep.
check. One, two,
Yes.
three. So my name is Sheila Isom. I am an insurance professional. I am also a notary public, an independent stylist for Color Street nail strips, and I am also an aspiring voice actor. And I am just grateful for waking up today, seeing the light of day, and
Mm,
prayerfully will be able to go to bed and wake up again tomorrow.
Yeah.
yes. Yes. All right, so let's get started. Thank you for joining us tonight on the Woman to Woman show on the New U Nation Network. If you are here, please take some time to gently click on the little finger, the like button, um, share, and subscribe. And so tonight we're going to get into our topic, which I think is really interesting that the topic coincides with, I think, everything that we all said. Um, Regina sharing, about Marla Gibbs. Gina thinking about what's happening in the next 6 months. Sheila aspiring voice. So it's interesting because the topic tonight is about evolving, but also becoming, right? Becoming without burnout, evolving at your own pace. And I just thought it was so interesting to have this conversation because like Regina said, it is never too late, right? To do the things that we aspire and dream to do and to be intentional in doing it. But I feel like as we get older, it looks differently, right? Like I don't like it like um I guess the question I'll ask is like, do you feel the same pressure that you might have felt
Mm.
when you were younger,
Mm.
right? Now, as you're growing and learning and moving into the next phase of life.
I'm gonna jump right in because that way everybody else can do that, and I can be quiet for a few. Um, for me, I think it's when I was younger, I didn't really have an appreciation for the gift of time. I knew that
Mm,
I was supposed to, work, go to school, you know, get an education, get a decent job, have a career and all of that kind of stuff. But it's important to have a plan for that, right? So
Mhm.
now at the age, you know, almost 60, I'm not looking at the pressure of achieving something for the sake of achieving it, but really appreciating the fact that, time is not ours to play with. So to do something with all the knowledge and the wisdom that I've acquired in my little bit of time, and how to roll that into something that's productive and useful for others, and not play with it. So I continually work on um, overcoming my stuff, because now I realize I'm not in competition with anyone. So it's about what I need to do to get over what my internal hurdles are, so that I can externally achieve the things that I'm here to do. And so
Mm,
that's it's a different thing. Before, I felt like, oh, you're looking at your peers and they're doing well in your 20s and 30s. Oh, I wish I was doing this and doing that. Now it's like, okay, what are you here for? What did it, what haven't you done that you feel you still need to do? And what tools and resources do you need to do that? Because you cannot take the time we have for granted. I cannot take my time for granted. So now it's more of a better appreciation of the time, and how much of a gift it really is, and what am I supposed to do with this gift? How am I
mm,
supposed to do in the space that I have, and to and how to fight those little negative Nellies that pop up once in a while, because it's as mature and seasoned as I am, and I've been helping myself through therapy and support and all of that, but still I deal with those things that every now and again they pop up, even though I'm doing good stuff. So
mm-hmm,
it's not the external for me anymore. It's dealing with myself, maintaining my mindset, and being focused on doing something productive. So that's where I am with that right now.
yeah, that's good. That's good. I mean, I agree. I feel like at this age, right? There's more intention, right,
Yeah, yeah,
behind how I am moving and growing and evolving and feeling like I feel like when I was younger, right? I had like in my mind, I have to be making this amount of money at this time. And I think also um what growth looked like was different. Like you said, there was it was more so for trying to reach a certain status or be in a certain space, and not so much now align with using my gifts and my talent,
right.
right, to help other people, right,
Mhm.
and also being intentional about what I want to do. Like, what does growth and evolving look like, right? And like I was talking to one of my friends today, and no offense to anyone, the youngsters, right? No offense, right, to millennials, but I was saying for us coming up,
Mhm.
we didn't have the resources that they have now, right? Like the internet and Google and all of this stuff. Like we had to go to the library, we had to use encyclopedias, right? Like we had to resource to to find our resources in a different way. And I feel like with all of the information available to them, is like they really still can't really figure out, right, what that growth and evolving looks like. And so I feel like at this age, I have a better sense of what does becoming look like to me,
Mhm.
and how do I do that without burning out, without constantly being grinding. I think that's the word I'm looking for. I feel like it's a different type of grind, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Mhm.
Sheila, Regina, like Regina, you have a new, like, you're joining the club of authorship, right? What does that feel like?
Um, I just felt like it was just information that basically we knew for me because it was a journal that it's just high points that you should know. Or I speak a little bit about uh, what I went through. I mean, it's a high level of things that we should know as a woman, or just pay attention to be intentional, like you say, about our health, about taking time for ourselves, and just a guide, like a go-to, um to just
Well,
to
I
impact yourself.
actually,
Huh? Oh, so just to be mindful of taking care of ourselves. What do we need? Put yourself first.
Mhm.
So I don't. I took it as a different way. I guess it is an author, but I think of it as like a journal. I don't know if that's like. I didn't think of it as being a
Yeah.
author, like writing a book.
Nah, that's a you.
But it is. I guess it is because everyone said, but it's still a book. I said, well, I guess, but
Yeah, you're
but
published
but it
author.
yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to make light of it, but I like to help people and I like to steer them in the right way. So that was good for me. Um, and for me, the right now it's more of help. I like to help women. So when I get to it's not for the to make the money. Um, Now that I'm retired and I, do the substitute teaching, I do the things that I do to bring me joy. And, of course, if I get money on the back end, that's great. But no longer do I want to be in the corporate world of just surviving and trying to climb up the corporate ladder. And that was total burnout for me.
Yeah.
Total burnout, just trying
Mm,
to all the years of climbing. So it's a different kind of, and like you say, and now I take time when I get too overload, I take time to rest.
yeah.
And rest to me, it could be just walking in the park or just
mm,
sitting still. Just take that mental time, take
mm,
time out. So,
mm. Yeah. I mean, that's good because I think that is also like the part two of the question is, you know, how are you evolving and growing at your own pace,
hmm
right? You know, taking that and I will honestly say this is even as few as much as like what 3 years ago, right? Because I will say probably in 2020, during the point of me first starting my business and moving into this space of entrepreneurship, right? I
hmm
was I was at a different speed. Like I just felt like I had to constantly be working. I had to constantly be doing something. I have to constantly be, oh my God, what program am I going to put up? How am I going to reach people? How am I going to, right? Like I was like going. And I think it was probably literally last year when I was like, you know what? There has to be a balance
hmm
between work, business, and living, right? Because one of my goals coming into 2020 and as I was going through my healing journey was to create a life of peace. But as much as I was excited about starting my own business, I wasn't really feeling too peaceful, right? Because I was constantly like, oh my, I got to get to this. Okay, I got to evolve. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do this. I got to do that, right? And so I do feel like even like 3 years before this, right, to now, I do feel like there's a different pace as I continue to grow and evolve my business. It doesn't mean that I'm not still trying to do that. I'm just
hmm
not trying to do it at the same pace I was when I started it. I hear a little background noise. I don't, yeah. So, so I think for me that has been a little different for me as I continue to like say, what does my next look like? You know?
right.
So here's another question. Has your definition of what growth looks like changed?
Mhm.
Wow. Well, for a long time, I defined my role as mother, right?
Mm.
Because I had four children, a full house. And so a lot of what I did was surrounded by with their focus in mind, as far as their education and that sort of thing. The type of job I chose
Mhm.
was based on being there for them when they had their different PTA meetings and that sort of stuff. Now that they're grown and gone, and everybody's like full grown, living on their own, the time and energy that I used to put into them is shifted. So now I got time that where I felt like I was juggling things so much. Now it's like, okay,
Mhm.
um, it's different now. So now I have time to think about what Regina wants to do.
Mhm.
What did I put down? It is not a blame or anything, but sometimes they say we can have it all. Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Mhm.
Depends on everyone's circumstance. For me, I chose to focus on my children, on
Mhm.
my marriage, on my family, and so there was certain stuff I wasn't really stressed about or focused on.
Mhm.
Now this is time for me to focus on what else I can give, right? So
Mhm.
it's not about giving it to my children per se, but because of all the knowledge that I've acquired over, I want to say at least 30 years,
Mhm.
I have information, I have a way of helping based on what I've seen and what I've experienced and what I've shared with other women, how to pour into our young people as well as helping with their families. And it's like, okay, so that's a shift now because all of us have businesses
Yep.
and we're working,
Well,
and it's like,
can you hear me? Because I want to jump in here on this.
okay,
Right?
We can hear you now.
yes,
Oh, wait a minute.
was that
Sheila, you
Sheila?
trying to, I think it was, yeah.
A lot of it was by
No,
with
we
this
can't hear you.
did,
It's a lot
something
of
going
background.
on
It's
with
a lot
the
of background noise. I don't know
She's
yeah.
going
why.
in and out. Yeah, yeah, I think
It
her
looked like
internet.
Sheila was saying something that then
Yeah, I think her internet is
froze.
kind of like going in
Was
and
I
out.
coming in choppy? I felt like I was delayed. Could y'all?
No, it was Sheila trying to talk, but she
Okay,
was coming in a little choppy.
okay,
So
Sheila was
yeah,
delayed.
yeah, Sheila
okay,
was delayed. Yeah.
okay. But that's where I am now. Is really um, grasping, internalizing the energy that I used to give to family. Now I have more time for me. And it's
Mm,
taking me a little while to focus on me, not in the selfish way of not, all about me, but what can I do now? Now that I
mhm,
have this time, now I don't have to go to those meetings and all that kind of stuff. Um, how can I express myself in this stage of my life? And
mhm.
so the business is part of that, you know. But it's like, what what else do I bring to that? Because I still have so much to give, and so that's where I am now.
And as you think, like as you were thinking that, like what came into my mind is there at some times, not all the time, that thought of, oh my God, because I am approaching 60 or because I am above 60,
Hmm.
right? Like, do you feel that urgency to push yourself
Yes,
more?
yeah,
Or
yes, I actually do, and I have to take it one step at a time because sometimes I look too far ahead, and then I
mhm,
get nervous about like 5, 10 steps ahead versus just focusing on the first step. But there is an urgency because, like I said earlier, I know I don't control time, so I can
mhm,
be as healthy as I want, and something happens, or the people that's supposed to get what I have to offer I'm moving in a smaller in a slow pace, and I could be depositing information that can help them in their journey. So it's an urgency in that way to, like I hear myself like, girl, do what you know how to do, put it together, and let's get it popping because you got people to serve. So,
Mhm.
like, stop playing. Basically, that's my little pookieism, y'all. I'm just saying.
But how do you do? And this is a question for you too, Regina, right? How do you learn to do that in a way where I want to call it gentle growth, right?
Say that
How do
again.
you how do you manage the urgency in a way that you can have some gentle growth, right? Where it's not exhausting,
Right.
right? But and you're still able to grow, right? And to move forward, but like you put that urgency, I guess, in uh a space. So Shirley, you're back now. Let me, because you
Yes.
said you were trying to talk. So go ahead.
Okay. So, getting back to how we were starting off, like what differences do we see now? Of course, I was
Yeah.
sitting here making a list of both sides, right?
Okay.
I think before we used to be rushed, right?
Mm,
We just went along and we did things and tried to do things as quickly as possible. But now we try to do things with intention, right?
yeah.
So it may take us a little time. We might be able to run through it quickly because of our knowledge and our experience. But for us, it's all about having that foundation.
Mm,
Of course, when we were younger, we took things for granted. We took time for granted, right? Because we
mm,
always thought we would think we're going to be here, and we
yep.
always think that we have time to do everything that we want to do, be all end all. But now, as Gina said, we appreciate time a whole heck of a lot more because we've seen a lot of things,
Yep.
and we know that time is limited, especially when you have or you're around kids. Time is very, very fleeting, so you appreciate it a lot more. Wasting time has a different meaning for me now than it did back then.
Mm-hmm.
For me, wasting time is doing something that I mentally need to do.
Mm,
When we were younger, we had a list of everything we were supposed to do, what we were supposed to be and to have accomplished by a certain age. And
mm-hmm.
generally, that list was societal pressure, right?
Yeah.
So we knew that we had to, we wanted to have that white picket fence and 2.5 kids and be married by the time that we were 30.
Mm,
And then, that was just our starter house because by the time it was ready for us to move on, we were moving into that 5-bedroom mansion. So we had a list of things that we wanted to do: finish school, get a career, go back to school, get a better career, and things like that. But now for us, it's all about leisure.
mm-hmm.
What I'm doing in my life is for my comfort.
Yep.
Okay.
When we
And
were younger, we were trying to figure out who we were supposed to be.
mm-hmm.
Now the focus is more so, who am I?
Yep.
Because
That's good. Say that again. Say that
I'm
again.
not trying to be anyone for anybody else. We used to think about who I am supposed to be, and now we're at a point where we're like, who am I?
Yep.
Right? And that's because now I'm realizing I was everything to everybody, but now it's all about me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Then we had burnout was kind of expected. That was the norm. It's like if you didn't
Mm-hmm.
feel burnout, you were not working hard enough.
Right. Yeah.
Now we know it's not necessary.
That is
I
so
am not
true.
burning myself out for no one.
Let
And
me.
then it
Oh
was
my
all
God. That is so
It
true,
was all
Sheila.
about upward mobility. It was all about upward mobility. Now we're realizing that being lateral is just as important because that gives you a better opportunity for grabbing things along the way. When you're
Mm.
so busy moving up, you are you are missing things, right?
Yep.
That are to your left and to your right, and the next thing you know, you've passed them by. Whereas that
Yep.
if you are on that lateral trajectory, you can pick up things that you missed. You can start to work on the things that are coming because you know that you can still learn things along the way.
Yeah.
I mean, that
So,
is so good because as you're talking, I am thinking about my career in HR, right? How I started as administrative assistant and grew and grew and grew and just going into these roles. And I think the most freeing thing for me was when I was like, you know what? This executive, like I've never been one that's been into titles. I'm like, call me the janitor. Just make sure my 2 week paycheck is in the bank, right? But at the other side of it,
yep,
I remember when I decided to leave my CHRO role, my executive role, right? And said, you know what, I'm gonna go back to being an individual contributor because I wanted to focus on growing my business. How many people were like, why would you do that? Why are you doing that? And I was like, you know what? Because I think it's exactly what you said. I was no longer really trying to be who everyone else thought I should be.
Mm.
I have finally came to the point of really truly being who I am, who I was authentically, right? Which meant how I wanted to show up, what I wanted to do. It was more important for me to be able to move more into this space of helping other women through my coaching business than being in a role with this executive title where I was stressed out most of the time, angry, bitter,
yep.
like working from home, but mad, and I only had to walk from the back of the house to the front. I didn't even have to leave out the door. And I'm like, and that's when I was like, okay, so what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Right? And it was
Yep.
that space that where I was like, yo, I'm trying to create a life of peace. This don't feel peaceful,
Mm.
right? And so
Right.
that's for me, you know, where I was just saying to asking Regina and Gina, you know, to that point of where you start thinking about that gentle growth, right? That growth that still happens, but it's not a growth that is exhausting, right? It's not a growth that makes you feel like you got to be grinding 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You always got to be busy. You always got to be doing something. I remember being in undergrad, getting up in the morning, going to a job in the morning, going to school, taking a 18 credit caseload, right? And then going back to work. I remember waiting to the last minute to write papers and stuff like that. That being always on an adrenaline rush, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Right. And now I'm like, would I really want to? Would I really want to be doing that?
Right.
that that's not nice. That doesn't feel like good growth, right? That feels like stress,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So yeah, that's good. Not being who we're supposed to be, but who we want to be is so good, right? And I mean, I just appreciate the fact that at this stage in our lives, you're starting a career as a voiceover, right? Person, Regina just became a published author, right? Regina and I, you know, finally starting to talk more about what we do, right? Which is a whole conversation we had a couple of months ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like we all have hit this sweet spot, right? In our lives as to really figuring out what it is we want to do and how we're going to do it intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
Regina, because
Hmm.
Sheila had one perspective, I had a different vantage point. What's your vantage point on that? What Theo said,
What's my vantage point? Oh, say it again.
or as far as what's different from now, from where we were, how you moving differently now? Like, what's the difference for you?
Lately, um, I've been where my growth is coming really is spending more time with God. Because
Mm,
if I spend more time with God, that gives me the peaceful growth that I need and it leads me in the right direction that I'm supposed to be in.
mm,
So now I don't when it gets to that kind of confusion thing, before it gets to confusion, I go to him. Whereas um when I was younger and stuff, I believed in God, but I didn't always go to him. I figured
mm,
it out myself and I had this whole burnout thing. So right now, especially in the last month or so, when I just got perplexed about something, I go to my word and I
mm,
find the word. And so with the word, it gives me the growth and it gives me the direction and where to go. And
mm,
that's like a gentle growth with me. And
mm,
so, and that's been a growth, like I said, in the last month, I've learned that to go to my word more. And it helps me
mm.
peacefully grow in the direction that I need to go in.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's good. Because,
Yeah.
I've been reading this book called The Bible in 52 Weeks. It's like a year-long Bible study. And it starts you from reading over in Genesis, right? And I was thinking the other day, I was like, really thinking about some of these little stories and the things that they were doing, right? I was like, okay, wait a minute, right? Right? Like when Joseph's brother threw him in the in
In
the
the pit.
pit,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking, you know, but you know what the thing I thought about when um Esau, right, and Jacob, when the father was gonna bless them, and then the mother Rachel
Uh-huh.
tells the younger one to steal the older one's birthright. I was like, why he never
Uh-huh.
pressed back?
But he didn't steal it though. It was his. He
Well,
was the
it was his, but his mother,
right.
right, encouraged him to be
Right.
deceitful, right? But I say all that to say is like it is so true. Like when you really start going back to your word, right? You
Yeah.
think of things about like, how are you moving? How are you what's in your
Yes.
heart, right? What decisions are you making? Are
Yeah.
you really at peace? Right? And why are you doing the things that you're doing? Right? And there's also that humbleness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because remember when Regina was talking about her book, she was like, it's not really a book. And we're like, no, there's a book,
I
right?
know. So that's
But
another
it's
thing
that
that
it's
I have,
that humbleness.
and that
Yes.
was one of
You
the
are
things
an author.
I have to work on
Yes.
because I always want to downside myself, and I realize that's something that I do a lot. Like I applied for I applied for something. I forgot what it was, but I need a recommendation letter. So I had a friend write it for me, and so she says, "Well, I got to interview you," and I was like, "What?" I'm like, "What do you mean interview me?" She said, "I know you, but I don't really know you," and I was like, "Whoa." So she really, so she says, like, tell me what you've done. So I told her all these things, and so she wrote the letter. And so when I read the letter, I was like, wow. She said, I didn't make anything up. You really accomplished all these things, but you never give yourself credit.
Mhm.
And I kept saying, well, no. I kept telling her, well, maybe you should take. She said, you did all of these things. I'm not taking anything out. And she wasn't lying. It was the truth. so so
But but
that's
that
one thing that
but
I
that
know I have to work on. I do downsize. I do downplay myself a lot, and that's the thing. That's something that I have to work on. I do.
and how does that also play into you evolving and you growing.
Mm.
Because how does that impact your growth? Because you're not really seeing what other people see
Yeah.
in you. So you're
And have you
limiting.
always been like that?
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Because but other people see, but I'm the person that do it from the quiet side. Like
Mhm.
I'll sneak in, I'll do stuff, and I don't need the praise, or I don't know if it's praise, but I don't have to. I'm in the background.
No, I get, yeah, I get it because
Yeah.
that's me. I'm the one that I tell me
But
what you need me to do. I'm gonna do it. You don't need to recognize me. If you call my name, you call me up to the front. I'm like, yo, no, I don't really need to be up there, right? But I asked that question because I recognized too. I was like, I was so busy just being that person that helps everybody else without the recognition that I kind of was stunting my ability
Hmm.
to
And then when
evolve.
I help people, they say, "Oh, you have so much knowledge. You know this and this and this." And when I help them, I'm like, "Yeah." Like I'm looking like, "Well, don't you know that?" Like,
And
so
it's literally, you know, I
I'm
had,
working it on, Sheila. I'm working on it.
yeah. We all,
Okay.
I think we
I
all working on it at some
But
point.
yeah, we all.
Yeah.
I don't like to be. I don't. I don't want to be. I did this and I did that and I said,
it's so funny as women. I hear that way more from women than I ever hear that from men.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Men to be like, say it with your chest, right? And we're
Exactly.
like, well,
Yeah.
and here's the thing that I it's funny. I used to teach it, and I had to remember to teach it and do it. And at Dress for Success, we used to always tell the women, acknowledge your accomplishments, right? Because it's not a brag if you're telling
Mhm.
the truth. It's the way in which you share your truth
Yeah.
that can come off as either confident or arrogant, right?
mm,
Sometimes I would mock interview. I mock interview literally hundreds of women,
Hmm.
and when I would listen to them give me their answer back, I'm like, you left off this, 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 this. It's about three or four things they could really speak to during the job interview that they just didn't even think was relevant. And so as we're getting older, I'm like, okay, it's okay to say you've done these things, because if you don't remember it, it is not for the sake, it's not for bragging rights, but it's just to also encourage yourself.
mm-hmm,
So as you continue journeying in whatever your path is,
mm-hmm,
you can be like, but I did that. So if I
Hmm.
did that, I can tackle this as well. It's so sometimes we have to remind ourselves of our receipts. And it's not a brag when you say you've
mm-hmm,
done A, B, and C, because you have done A, B, and C. Some people kind of boast and it's fluffy because it's not real. Your experience is solid, it's proven you've done
Hmm.
the thing. So it's okay to say that, even if you say it out loud to yourself, so you can
Yeah.
encourage yourself when you're in a space of taking on new adventures, right? Like, oh, maybe I don't know, but wait, oh no, but I did that, and I was able to overcome this. So
Yeah.
yes, you still can continue to grow and learn new things and accomplish other things as well.
Yeah. But I think that's so true because I will tell you, I've interviewed plenty of people, and even now where I do like with my career coaching and do mock interviews, it is so telling when you ask someone to describe or give an overview of their accomplishments, how difficult it is for them to be able to say what they've accomplished, right? And how they have contributed to, because my style as an interviewer is always going to be, as an HR person, we're always doing the behavioral side of it, and we're leaving the technical piece to the hiring manager, right? Like I may know about the job and may ask you a question here and there, but I'm always going to ask questions that are going to make you kind of give me a scenario of how you accomplished something, or how you dealt with something, or how you managed something, right? And I think that is so important as we get older. I
Mhm.
think our experiences have allowed us to transition to a point where we're still evolving. Like for Sheila to be now a voice. Like I'm
Yeah.
just so like every time I think about it, I'm just so amazed. Like I'm like, oh my God. Like for
Yeah.
her to really just be like, this is something I've dreamed about. This is something I want to do. And she did it.
Right.
You know what? And
Why not?
right? And
I
why,
like
but you
that.
know why
That was the
I
whole
think
thing. Why not?
exactly. But it's also the way you did it. It was kind of like along this topic. It wasn't pressure, it wasn't like frantic. You just was behind the scenes doing what you and one day you was like, I have an announcement.
Right.
And you were like, I did X, Y, Z. And we were like, oh my God, right? And so I love that because I want other women to see that it doesn't have to be this grueling, frantic, pressure filled, evolving and becoming doesn't have to take a lot of energy and it doesn't have to exhaust you. And
Right.
and you know what I'm gonna say after that, right? When you do it with
Intentional.
intention,
Got it. Yes. Right. Right.
right? Because Shirley definitely there was intention. Regina with the book, it was intention,
Yeah,
right?
because it was something that I wanted to do for a long, long time, and then when the opportunity came, I was like, yeah. So
Yeah. But it also the other question is also that I have for you guys, but also for anyone that's listening. So this is the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network, and we're talking about becoming without burnout, like evolving at your own pace. But a question I also have is we all, I believe, at some point decided after whatever it was that we went through and encountered Miss Trey Kearney, right? Decided that we were going to pursue the desires of
Yeah.
our heart, right? Our dreams, things that we had been wanting to do, right? And we had to figure out how we were going to do that, right? It baffles me as to how many people don't take the chance on themselves. Like, has there ever been a point where you thought, I'm not going to take this chance on myself?
Well, that was half my deal. Like, it was easy for me to do the stuff when it came to work, right? Because there's roles, there's a structure. You go in and you go hard and you do that thing that you're required to do. Outside of that, like, for instance, the way Sheila was able to say, "This is what I want to do," and she set this step and did the process to do it, and then it was like, okay, I did that, right? I would have been saying, I want to do that, maybe, start the application or whatever, and then just kind of pause it a little bit. Now I'm realizing that um, it wasn't so much, if you have an idea like that to do a thing, and if you're a believer, then you have to believe in the one that gave you the gift to do it or the
Mm,
desire to do it.
Mm.
So when you
Say
when
that
you
again.
when you
mhm.
hedge back and you be like, well, maybe, well, then you're doubting the one that gave you doubting the
mhm,
Father. So that really clicked for me this year. Like, in everything that I've done, or things that I kind of started, it was kind of moving at a slow pace. It was like, because I was trusting in Regina
Mhm.
versus trusting in the one that gave me the gift or the desire to do the thing. And if he gave it to me because it didn't leave me, then he's going to also provide me with the tools and the resources to do that. I have to trust that he trusts me enough to give me this thing to do, or to put this inside of me to want to achieve or accomplish. I have to trust it, since he gave it to me, that I'm going to be able to do it because I'm going to have the tools and things I need. So
Mhm.
for me, it was really learning to trust in God for the things that he put in my spirit. Now, and also discerning something that's he gave me to do, or something that was just like a distraction.
yeah.
Because there's those things as well. But I realized that there are some key things that he said, Regina, that's your assignment.
Mm-hmm.
It may be 10 other people doing it, but they're not going to do it the way you
Where
do it, and
you
you're
gonna
not
do
going
it?
to do it the way they do it. So it's not like y'all all got the same assignment. You have a way that you're supposed to execute on what I gave you to do. And that's what I get now. So now I'm more moving in the direction, okay, Father, so show me how.
Mm.
Versus, yeah, now
Yeah,
it's like, okay, show me how. Because I
yeah.
want to do it, right? Because I'm serving him. So show me how. And that's the mindset that I've come into. And it's so funny, we're all in our season years, but I feel like as long as I got breath and energy and I
Mhm.
got in my right mind for the most part, I'm gonna do is serving him. So that means I got stuff to do. It doesn't mean we don't have downtime, but we can't waste time
Yeah,
worrying
yeah.
instead of taking that energy and doing the thing. So that's where I am now versus where I was before. Before I did what was necessary. You have a family, you got to
Yeah.
provide.
Yeah.
You got to take
Mhm.
care. Even if I didn't have children, I need a
Mhm.
roof over my head.
Yeah.
So it's those kind of things. But
Mhm.
now it's a different level of purpose. It's a different level of um, what are you expecting? It's not like, oh, I'm ready to chill because I'm getting older. No, I still got stuff to do. Let's go. But
That's
it's
right.
different now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's different.
Well,
But is Marion? Is
look.
Marion? I was gonna say is
Well, I was just
Marion.
gonna say.
Go ahead, Sheila.
Go ahead. Guess. Okay. Look at us now, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Little did we know that that day we walked into the New U Nation mansion, right? That that we'd end up here.
Yep.
Right.
Let me tell you.
We were fine when everything was behind the scenes, but when
Right.
Trey said to us, "All right, this is what we're gonna do."
Right. I can't. Like, who's taking over?
Wait a minute, that was
Let's
the first part of it. We were fine because Trey was with us, right?
Yeah.
Right.
right,
And
right,
then come the next season, she said, "Okay, y'all on your own."
Yeah.
right,
It's like the little birds out the nest,
Hmm.
right?
Yes,
Right. Like,
yes.
go and fly.
right.
Right. You're either gonna fly or you're gonna not. Right. Yeah.
That's
But
so true.
but it's
Hmm.
so true, right? It is so true that it's like you get to that point. Like I was gonna say, it's kind of like when Gina was talking, I was thinking of how it's kind of you get to the point at this stage in our life when we're marrying the things that we have to do, because there are some things
Yeah,
we still have to do because we all
absolutely.
still work, right?
Yes, yes,
A regular job, right? Because
right,
there are some things we have to do, but we also are trusting and believing, and we're believers. Whatever your moral compass
right,
is, that's fine. For those here in these little four squares, we believe in God, right?
Hmm.
And so I'm speaking from that standpoint. When we marry what we believe and we're trusting with what we are responsible for,
yeah,
and believe that he was going to give us the provision so that we could do both.
right,
That's
right.
where the evolving and the becoming turned into a different, I think for me, a little more, I felt a little less pressure.
Yeah,
Because like I said, when I first started out, I was like, oh my God, how are you gonna do that? You gotta grow this business, you gotta, and then I was like, you know what? Most businesses it takes them 5 years, right? To really um do anything. I'm just thankful that I'm coming into my 5th year of still running
yeah,
a business,
Hmm.
right? I didn't say, you know what? The old me would have been like, you know what, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm gonna give up. But I was like, nah, if God put this in me,
yeah,
He's gonna give me what I need in order to make it happen. And I'm not gonna have to exhaust myself.
Right.
I'm not going to have to worry myself. I'm not going to have to doubt and be fearful because a lot of it is getting out of his way. For
Mm-hmm.
me
Yes.
personally, I'm talking, it's me getting out of his way, right? I can't tell you how much time I spent in his way. The fear, the doubt, the indecision, right? The
Yeah. Yeah.
worrying,
Yeah.
the going back and forth, the double-mindedness, right? It wasn't to and also I'm speaking to someone else, and this will probably be my final thought is right. You also have to realize that you have to heal from some stuff and you have to release some stuff and you have to let some stuff go because he can't fill you up and give you what you need in order to go to that next level if you're not letting go of some of the bitterness and the disappointment and the hurt and the pain. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm going to tell you what's my other saying outside of intention. Healing is a choice,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You get to choose how you heal. It's not easy,
Yeah.
but when you do it the right way, it's so freeing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm only pausing because we only got a few minutes, so I'm gonna be quiet.
Yeah.
Well, don't be quiet. You
Well,
better.
okay, I'm just okay, but I'm saying there's so much richness to that. Some of us are intentionally healing. Some of us, thank you for Father, haven't had experiences they had to bounce back from. They've just been able to. I mean, not that they haven't gone through stuff, but certain things impact us
Yep.
differently. It could be losing loved ones and that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, but at this stage of our lives, wherever you are, if you could get this younger, you will set yourself. You can just let loose of so much stress of having to do a race. The rat race. We're not rats. Why are we in the rat race? Who said that's okay? I'm gotta grind. I gotta do this rat. Who? Where's the what? I'm not a rat. You a rat? No, I'm not
Mhm.
in a rat race. So if you could get this, whoever's listening to this, and you're younger than we are, you're not in competition with anybody.
But yourself.
You set your
Mm-hmm.
plan, how you want to live your life. It's not about how your friend is doing her thing or how it's not about them. It's about you. It's about your goals, your desires, and it doesn't matter who likes it or doesn't like it. You're not there for that. And you're not doing it for the views, they're doing it for the likes either. What
There you go.
How do you want to show up for
Mhm.
yourself? What do you want to achieve and accomplish that's uniquely you? Irregardless of what someone will say, girl, you should be doing this. I thought you'd be doing that. Well, they can't think for you. They can't
Mm.
eat for you. They can't breathe for you. You got this mind here and this heart and this mouth and the ability to do and achieve what you willing to set your mind to.
Mm.
Don't worry about that other stuff, the trends and all of that,
That's
the
right.
Mm.
fads.
Right.
Focus on what you want to do and grow the life you want to grow. Create the life you really want,
Nice.
regardless of what anybody got to say. I'm
Yep. Rewrite your narrative.
Right.
That's right.
Yep.
Mhm.
Nobody's your competition, honey.
Yeah. All right.
There you
Shirley,
go.
Regina, what say ye?
Mine is just real. It was be ready to do the work at your own
Yes.
pace to discover your authentic self.
Ooh, nice,
That's
Mm-hmm.
it.
nice, tight, tight and concise. Go, professor.
Right.
Okay, all
Where
right.
they do the snaps?
Yep. I agree with everyone else said.
No. Well, I'm gonna read something out of my devotional this week. I'm on week 4 of this book I bought, right? I'm not gonna but it says right? The struggle that you experienced financially stretched you. The problems you endured with your spouse truly devastated you. The issues you encountered at your job put a strain on you. However, it was during those times that you found yourself leaning and dependent on God in a way that you hadn't before. Those times forced you to increase your time of prayer, and you found yourself talking to God more and more each day. But this is the piece that got me. The crushing didn't feel good, but it was necessary to equip you and develop the anointing you needed to carry out your assignment on earth,
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we all, as Trey would say, right? We all looking for our purpose, but our purpose is already there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is to serve, right, the people that God assigned to you,
Mm-hmm.
for you to
Right.
use your gifts, talents, and abilities and experiences to help them.
Mhm. Yeah.
But
Yep.
it all came through the crushing. Each and every one of us, one day we might share our stories or we might not. But each and every one of us are here because we've experienced some stuff in life.
Look at the replays. We done shared some things, y'all.
Right?
Check the replays because we done told on ourselves. So it ain't
Exactly.
like we
Yeah.
ain't said nothing. Okay.
But this didn't happen overnight. This took work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This took us
Yes.
deciding to invest in ourselves. This took us saying, okay, we're gonna figure out how we're gonna pay this coach
Mm-hmm.
over here to help us through this thing that we might be going through. We're gonna figure out how we're gonna pay these publishers so that we could become published authors, right?
That's
We're gonna
right.
figure out how we could take this class so we could become a voice artist, right?
That's
Like
Mm-hmm.
right.
all of this is not stuff that we it just we woke up one day and it happened. But what we did do is trust the one we believe in,
Yeah.
that he will provide and give us what we needed to do what we needed to do. But we also did everything that we do at this point in our lives, which is why the growth that we are experiencing is without pressure. It is not exhausting because everything that we do it with intention.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so we thank you for joining us tonight on the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. I will honestly say we come here every Monday and we're like, we don't know what we're going to talk about. We don't know how this is going to play out. This is not scripted.
No, it's not.
This is not scripted. We are really just here talking to you from our experiences as Gen X women who have lived through some stuff. We have made it through some stuff. And we hope you join us again next Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen, it will be July
Oh,
7th,
goodness.
right?
Change my
Mm-hmm.
calendar. I didn't change my calendar yet.
Right?
Wow.
July
Yeah, to
7th.
be July
It
Yes.
will
7th.
be
Mm.
July 7th.
Wow.
That's right.
Mm.
So
That's right.
the other thing I will say is don't give up. You got 6 months left in this year
That's right.
to pivot, be intentional, and rewrite your narrative. So have a great night, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next Monday.
Bye-bye.
Good
Good
night, y'all.
Good night.
night.